Welcome, Shadow Seekers, to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today, we're unearthing a tale that'll haunt your thoughts long after it ends. Whether you're glued to the screen or just listening in, you're in for a wild ride through history's darkest corners. If you're new, hit subscribe to join our mission of exposing America's hidden truths. Regulars, your likes fuel our journey into the unknown. Now, let's peel back the layers of time and reveal the secrets beneath. Ready? Let's begin. 4 little girls, the tragedy that ignited a movement. Hello, friends, and welcome to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today we're traveling back to September 15th, 1963, a day that would forever change the course of the civil rights movement and leave an indelible mark on American history. On this fateful Sunday morning, the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, became the target of a heinous act of racial violence that would shock the nation and galvanize the fight for civil rights. How does a place of worship become a battleground in the struggle for equality? What drives men to commit such an atrocious act against innocent children? And how can a single moment of violence spark a revolution in the hearts and minds of a nation? Before we dive into the events of that tragic Sunday morning, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you who support our work. Your engagement allows us to explore these difficult but important stories, ensuring we never forget the human cost of hatred and the power of resilience in the face of adversity. The Powder Keg, Birmingham, in 1963. To understand the significance of the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, we must first step into the charged atmosphere of Birmingham, Alabama, in 1963. Known derisively as Bombingham, due to the frequent attacks on black homes and churches, the city had become a flashpoint in the struggle for civil rights. Under the leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and local activists like Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, Birmingham had seen a surge of nonviolent protests aimed at ending segregation. These actions were met with fierce resistance from white supremacists, including Police Commissioner Bull Connor, who infamously used fire hoses and attack dogs against peaceful protesters. The 16th Street Baptist Church stood as a beacon of hope amidst this turmoil. With its large basement auditorium, it had become a key meeting place for civil rights leaders and activists. Its prominence in the movement made it a symbol of progress for some and a target for others. A quiet Sunday turns tragic. On the morning of September 15th, the church was buzzing with activity. It was Youth Day, and many children were there for Sunday school, excited to participate in the day's special program. Among them were 4 young girls, Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, all 14 years old, and 11-year-old Denise McNair. At 10:22 a.m., a deafening explosion ripped through the church. The blast was so powerful that it blew a crater in the church's east wall and destroyed the building's steps. In the chaos that followed, church members frantically searched the rubble. In a scene of unimaginable horror, they found the bodies of the 4 young girls in the basement restroom, where they had been chatting and preparing for the service. The news of the bombing spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the black community and beyond. As grief turned to anger, riots broke out in Birmingham. The entire city was placed under curfew, with 500 state troopers and 300 police officers deployed to restore order. The nation reacts. The reaction to the bombing was immediate and widespread. Civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. sent a telegram to Alabama Governor George Wallace, a notorious segregationist, stating, "The blood of our little children is on your hands." The tragedy drew international condemnation and became a turning point in the civil rights movement. President John F. Kennedy, who had already proposed civil rights legislation, was deeply moved by the tragedy. Although he would be assassinated later that year, his successor, President Lyndon B. Johnson, carried forward the push for change. The bombing became a catalyst that contributed to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, landmark legislation that would reshape American society. The long road to justice. Despite the outrage, justice would not be swift. The FBI quickly identified 4 men as the primary suspects: Robert Chambliss, Bobby Frank Cherry, Herman Frank Cash, and Thomas Blanton Jr., all members of the Ku Klux Klan. However, in 1965, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover inexplicably ordered the investigation closed without any charges being filed. It would take decades for justice to be served. Robert Chambliss was finally tried and convicted in 1977, largely due to the efforts of Alabama Attorney General Bill Baxley. Thomas Blanton and Bobby Cherry were not convicted until 2001 and 2002, respectively. Herman Cash died in 1994 without ever being charged. The delayed justice highlighted the systemic racism entrenched in the legal system. It raised questions about how many other crimes had gone unpunished and how deeply prejudice had compromised institutions meant to protect all citizens. Legacy and remembrance. The 16th Street Baptist Church bombing had far-reaching consequences that extended well beyond Birmingham. The tragedy helped build support for civil rights legislation and exposed the brutal reality of racism to a national audience. It became a rallying cry for those fighting for equality and a somber reminder of the cost of hatred. The bombing also had a profound impact on the arts and popular culture. John Coltrane composed and recorded Alabama in response to the event. Poets Dudley Randall and Langston Hughes wrote poems commemorating the victims. The tragedy has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and films, ensuring that the memory of that day and its victims lives on. In the years since the bombing, the 16th Street Baptist Church has become a symbol of both the struggles and triumphs of the civil rights movement. The church was designated as a National Historic Landmark in 2006, and today it stands as a place of worship, remembrance, and education. In 2013, on the 50th anniversary of the bombing, President Barack Obama awarded the 4 girls posthumously with the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest civilian honors in the United States. The medal symbolizes the nation's recognition of their sacrifice and the enduring impact their deaths had on the movement for equality. As we reflect on this dark chapter in American history, we're confronted with difficult questions about the nature of hate, the long arc of justice, and the power of resilience. How do we confront the legacy of racial violence in America? What lessons can we draw from the courage of those who continued to fight for justice in the face of such tragedy? And how do we honor the memory of Addie Mae, Cynthia, Carol, and Denise? This is American Shadows, where we peer into the darker corners of our nation's past. Until next time, remember that even in our darkest hours, the human spirit has the capacity to rise above hatred and create lasting change. The echoes of that September morning in 1963 continue to resonate, reminding us of the ongoing struggle for equality and the importance of standing up against injustice in all its forms. As we go about our daily lives, let's take a moment to reflect on the sacrifices made by those who came before us in the fight for civil rights. For in understanding our past, we gain the wisdom to shape a more just and equitable future. The shadows cast by that tragic Sunday are long indeed, and they continue to influence our national conversation on race, justice, and equality in ways we are still struggling to fully comprehend.